I'm John and I'm a senior software engineer at Test at GitLab. Today we're going to have a quick look at using git bisect to identify where a bug was introduced into our application. So what is git bisect? The best place to figure this out is actually in the documentation. So git bisect, it uses a binary search to find a commit introduced a bug. So having a little look closer at what this actually means, how it works, we first of all tell it what the bad commit is, the bad commit being the commit that contains a bug. And secondly, we have to identify a good commit being a commit that does not include a bug. Git bisect then basically picks a commit between those two endpoints and asks us whether that's good or bad. We can maybe run some tests or identify ourselves whether it is good or bad or whether the bug exists. And once we tell that to git bisect, it then iterates and narrows down the range until we find out which exact commit the bug was introduced. So let's have a look how we used this recently when a bug was introduced into our master pipeline. So we can see here in our Slack reports that there has been a bug introduced. We can see everything was passing, and in the most recent build there was some bugs introduced. So of course there's various ways we can look at this. Today we're just going to use the Allure report to look at the report at the bug. So we can see this build has all of everything passing, and then we can see that the bug was introduced in this build. So let's look at what the bug itself was. We can see there's a request return 405 method not allowed. So that's what we're going to be looking for later today. So first of all, we're going to need to identify the good commit. So we can take the revision number here, that's that 9AC commit, and then we need the bad one, which is the DCC one we can see here. We're just going to store those for later. So let's start git bisect. So we first of all need to say git bisect start. It's now going to ask us for what the good commit and what the bad commit are. They're the ones we just identified. So we'll just provide those to the command and go from there. So we can say git bisect good and git bisect bad. So we can see that there's a number of revisions, and let's have a look to see what's actually happening here. So we're just going to visualize this just to see the set of commits between those that we provided. So we can see here there are a number of commits, and we can see that git bisect has put us at a commit roughly halfway through. So what we're going to do now is we're basically going to run some tests and figure out where the bug was introduced. Before going any further though, I do have a script here. It's a git rebuild script, so basically just does a bundle install and a yarn install just to make sure everything is up to speed and correct. So we're going to pop into our QA folder and we're going to execute one of the tests we identified as failing. And we're just going to see whether this passes or fails. So we can see here that the test has failed. So we see that error message that we found, the 405. So we know this is a bad commit. So what we're going to do is we're going to cd back to the top directory and say git bisect bad to tell the command that this is a bad commit. This one contains a bug. We're just going to visualize again now and just to see what commits remain. So it's now basically split the commits in half and identified another commit to go to midway between the range again. So we can see we're now in 2DF, this revision, and we're basically just going to repeat this process a number of times until we identify where the bug was introduced. So again, we're going to cd into the QA folder and we're going to run this test again and see does this one contain the bug or not. So we can see this one has actually passed. So the bug did not exist at this commit. So we say git bisect. So we need to cd back to the top directory and we say git bisect good. So this is a good commit. The bug does not exist here. So we're narrowing down to where the bug existed. So let's have a look at this again. So let's visualize it again to see what's remaining. So we can see we're down to 4 commits. So the bug was introduced somewhere in these 4 commits. So again, let's iterate again and we can find out whether the next commit contained the bug or not. So again, cd into our QA folder and execute the test. And we can see this one passed. So this is a good commit. So we say git bisect good. And yeah, git bisect good. This must be run at the top level of the working tree. We can't do it from a subdirectory. So again, let's visualize just to see what's left. We should be getting pretty close right now. Yep, we're down to the final 2 commits. So again, let's repeat the process again here. We'll just do our GitLab rebuild script just to make sure everything is installed correctly, and then we will run the tests again. So this test is just finishing off now, and we can see that this one has failed. We've found the 405 error. So we're going to go ahead and we'll mark this one as a bad commit. It contains the bug. And at this point in time, we've now actually identified which bug introduced, or which commit introduced the bug. It's the CEFA bug, the L events API annotations. We can have a quick look to see what this commit contained, git show with the commit hash, and we can then of course reach out to who the author is, or we can revert this commit and proceed from here. We know where the bug was introduced. With that now complete, we can go ahead and we can git bisect reset to finish the process and bring us back to where we started. We were on the master branch.